Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for Triangulation is brought to you by Cashfly at CACHEFLY.com.
This is Triangulation, episode 228, recorded Monday, December 7th, 2015. Gary Vaynerchuk. Triangulation is brought to you by Blue Apron. Blue Apron will send you all the ingredients to cook fresh, delicious meals with simple step-by-step instructions right to your door. See what's on the menu this week and get your first 2 meals free by going to blueapron.com/twit. That's blueapron.com/twit. And by Igloo software. Igloo is an intranet you'll actually use, like blogs, calendars, file sharing, forums, task management, wikis, to work better together with your team. Sign up now and try it for free at igloosoftware.com/twit. And by Epson's new Ecotank printers. With Epson's line of Super Tank all-in-one printers, you can print thousands of documents without running out of ink. Ecotank is loaded and ready to print when you are. Visit epson.com/ecotank to find out more. It's time for Triangulation, the show where we get together with some of the best, most interesting people in technology. We get to really sit down and go in depth. And this is not his first This is not his first time at the Triangulation Rodeo. A guy I've known for ages. A guy you've known for ages. I mean, who could forget Gary V and Wine Library TV? Well, Gary Vaynerchuk is now so much more. It's great to have him joining us once again on Triangulation. Hey, Gary V.
How are you, Leo? Thanks for having me, my friend.
Congratulations on your Jets win.
Thank you. I'm super pumped. That's not, I was very salty in the stands yesterday until the last 10 minutes, so it was a lot of excitement.
You would think you were salty. How do you think we felt watching the Niners back and forth with the Bears?
But you guys pulled it out late, too. Very similar outcome.
Late victory, yep. Not that it matters at all. But
it's nice to get a win here and there.
Hey, that's right. It's good to be a fan. I'm a fan of Gary Vaynerchuk. When did you start Wine? Was Wine Library your first thing?
Yeah, I mean, I launched WineLibrary.com in 1996. So when the whole Web 1.0 early web was starting, I was in New Jersey building a family business. The way I first kind of hit the scene, the world that you and a couple of pioneers created, was I started Wine Library TV in February 2006.
Wow.
And it was very early, as you know, video blogging. There wasn't a lot of people really doing it. As I was doing 20 minutes. The other thing I was doing, and Leo, this is more, you're more in it back then. I was just learning it, but like people weren't, YouTube wasn't a year old. People definitely weren't doing a regular 5-day-a-week, 20-minute show. And so, yeah, I mean, it was fun. I mean, the timing was great. I mean, for me, you and Kevin Rose and like a lot of the kind of tech TV people that were there because you guys were there. It was fun for me to learn that world in 06, 07. And I feel like I started becoming a part of it in 07 when I started going to South by or showing up at some of the tech conferences. It's one of the greatest things that's ever happened in my life to become part of this ecosystem. And so it was February 2006.
That's pretty amazing. I mean, podcasting had only been around for about a year, and nobody, not even me, was doing video. I mean, that was very, in fact, was it on YouTube you first started doing it, or where did you first started doing it?
YouTube, and then very quickly, Vidler. I don't know
Vidler, remember them?
Yeah. So Vidler was a lot of fun because it was so weird to people that I was doing something that was so long, and the tagging that Vidler had, because it was 20 minutes, was very valuable because I was tasting 4 different wines, and then if you clicked one, you'd know which one I was doing. So that technology seduced me. And listen, I became an investor in Vidler, and Rob, Sandy, and Colin, those guys became dear friends. But as a strategic move, leaving YouTube as my primary place was one of the bigger misses I've had in the last decade of like kind of making decisions around business and technology. But it was an amazing time. There was not a lot of people doing video. I'm really, really fortunate to be part of that era. I feel it's crazy, even sitting with you with all the interviews that I do and all the different things I do in my life, there's such a different feeling I have right this second.
It's old school. We're back in the old days.
It takes me to a place where it was all so new.
Yeah.
Again, a lot of you guys had context. You'd been around. For me, it was like this. It was like a curtain opened up, and I said, "What's this world?" I had my passion around wine. I felt like I had a unique place in the ecosystem because I was talking about something in a very tech-forward way that wasn't technology itself.
Yes.
Which was a preview to how things would play out. So that was fun for me. I appreciated people's curiosity, early admiration that I was doing something. You know, all of you were so welcoming that, and then curious that it was about something besides tech. And it was fun. It was fun. I felt part of an incredible family.
Well, and to be fair, you really are a pioneer. I mean, you brought so much passion to this, and everybody, I think, those of us who were, you know, old timers from old media kind of, whoa, this guy is enthusiastic. And by the way, Vaynerchuck, he's never going to make it. You, of course, Gary V, figured out a way around the name, and now everybody knows Gary Vaynerchuk, so you don't have to be Gary V anymore. Was it originally just to sell wine? It feels to me like you had a larger vision.
You know, the first episode, before I filmed it, and I did it in one day, I said, hey, stock guy, go out and get a camera. We're gonna do this thing. There was a lot of commerce and like, I'm gonna be QVC. It was just, yes, I was, very business oriented. It was so crazy, Leo. Literally the first episode, the camera goes on and I realized, holy crap, this is gonna be alive forever. And literally my life, not my life, let me make it less dramatic. I realized that if I went to a party and somebody said, hey, taste this wine, what do you think? And I said it was good or bad, and that was different than what I did on the show, that I would be exposed for being a farce. And so what happened was in the first episode, I mentally shifted from salesman to content provider.
Interesting.
And so what you're alluding to, we have the benefit of Monday morning quarterback, right? Look, I'm aware that other big personality types have come and gone, talking a big game, having a shtick. And so I understood why I was being consumed in the first year in tech the way I was, which was, hey, a lot of energy and passion, but
right.
Is this guy for real?
Right.
Does he really care? And I was always comforted in the fact that, you're right, when you say you had a bigger plan, I knew that I had chops, that I knew a lot about wine, that I was a businessman, right? Like I'd built a big e-commerce business at that point already. And most of all, and I hope you feel the same, this is not for me to judge, I knew that I had outrageous level of respect for everybody that was in the ecosystem.
Always. You were great that way.
I appreciate that, and that means I wish I don't know if you guys could see probably not. You're not gonna but you just saying that to me means more than you, I know how well we know each other. You saying that to me means a lot to me because that was an important, respecting the room that you're in is something I pride myself in, and I wanted to show and prove my merit to belong, to be part of the conversation, to be in the ecosystem, and I knew that showing respect, I mean, Steve's not joking. You do deserve the things that Alex said. Everybody does, you really deserve it. Your actions are that. You were there, you were at the forefront, you were pioneering, and I respected that. So I knew all those things. I knew my parents parented me well. So I knew that maybe 06, 07, 08, 09 would have cynicism, curiosity. Is this a flash in the pan? This is a lot of energy. How is this gonna play out? I knew that you and I would be sitting here in 2016 having this conversation.
So smart. Let's take a look. This is a very young Gary V. Number one.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the first episode of Wine Library TV. I am Gary Vaynerchuk, Director of Operations here at Wine Library at winelibrary.com, and I am very proud to launch what we think is the first video wine blog.
I gotta say though, right away, you're genuine. And that's you're direct, you're looking right at the camera, you are, the confidence you have as a successful entrepreneur doesn't show through as bravado, it shows through as just a calm, in a way, no one ever thinks calm and very Gary Vaynerchuk in the same, but there's a centeredness and a calmness that you kind of know what you're doing here. I mean, and no one did, you were inventing this.
This was crazy for me because I'd never given a public speech at this point. I'd never done TV. you know what's happened for me, Leo? And actually, you know what? Oh man, I'm pumped you said this because this gives me a chance to give you a compliment. There's something you do that is very important to me, which is you talk about the things that you know, and when you do not know them, you do not fake the funk. I do feel that I have good bravado and self-confidence and even ego in the right context, but what I do pride myself in is they only flare up in areas where I really know what I'm talking about.
Perfect.
And I think
you're a trained sommelier. I mean, you have.
I know wine. At that point, I was in that video. I'm 30 years old. It's 10. That's like almost 10 years ago. It's literally it's what do we did? We're 9 weeks short of that being 10 years ago.
Amazing.
And at that point, for 11, 12 years of my life, wine was the only thing think about me. You guys have a good sense of me now, my energy, my work ethic. All I did for 12 years was wine.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I'm not, what we're looking at there is not somebody who's, 20 years old and wants to be a self-help guru and hasn't lived life yet.
Right.
At that point, that guy right there has already built a $45 million business.
Right.
Has already spent every waking hour of his life for half his life, because I really started caring at 15, to know about wine. So it was easy for me to be confident because here's what I knew. And I knew it probably this far into the video, which is I have no idea what I'm gonna taste in these 3 Verte wines, but if I like it, I'm gonna say it. If I don't, I'm gonna say it. And that authenticity is gonna allow this to have legs.
We're talking to Gary Vaynerchuk, best-selling author. You gotta be happy that Crush It, your term, Crush It, is now in the general parlance. Everybody uses that term. And I don't know how many people know it's Gary V that created it. And in years to come, you'll be in the Oxford English Dictionary, first used by Gary Vaynerchuk at Wide Library.
The good news is, and you're being really kind, and I appreciate you. I'm not convinced that that's.
It's true,
Gary. It had to be. I know that it wasn't massively popular, so that's good.
But it was because of the Crush.
You know what it was? It was that. It was also a very Jersey, it was me and my homies using that. It was. I used to use it in basketball quite a bit. Believe it or not.
You got crushed.
For sure.
But the idea of going out and crush it, that's a Gary Vaynerchuk. That's Gary Vaynerchuk.
Listen, I appreciate it. Look, here's the best part, and you know this to be true. I mean, Leo, when we sit here and think about the last 10 years of the entrepreneurial media ecosystem that we've been a part of, and you before even that, think about the people that you've interacted. I can't even imagine what runs through your mind of the people that you spoke about, interviewed, mingled with. They are now, so many of our contemporaries and our friends, these are major pillars of our modern society.
It's been fun.
I'm sitting at VaynerMedia right now. We have 450 employees here, and we have 600 overall.
Wow.
Yes. There's a lot going on, by the way, since I've been.
Wow.
I've been very quiet for the last 24 months operating.
I had a sense, but that's amazing. Yeah.
You're going to get a real kick out of what I'm about to tell you. I was in a meeting the other day with like 5 25-year-olds, and they referenced Mashable in the way that I and you would reference the dictionary or the Wall Street Journal.
In the beginning, there was Mashable. Like what?
And the way they referenced its authority and its longevity.
Wow.
I was like, wow, this is,
this is what happens when you get old, Gary. I hate to tell you, you're not old, but.
No, you're right. I turned 40. I turned 42 weeks ago, and I told my mom that this transition from whiz kid to mentor is intense.
Yeah. We're talking with Gary Vaynerchuk. I don't think I need to say anything more about that. Best-selling author, wine sommelier. I want to ask a little bit about that. Go back a little bit. Look how young. It wasn't that long ago, but you look so young there.
Just
so
the
sweet.
hair. I want that hair
so
back.
So innocent.
They were open 5 or 6 hours ago.
But see, you're confident. You're not stuttering. And this is, I think you nailed it, which is you picked a subject you knew cold. And that comes across, I'm talking about what I know about. That and the Jets.
Well, that's what you do. That's right. This is what you do too. And this is where a lot of people who are watching right now, who hopefully tomorrow get motivated by this and may want to start something, too many people, and we've both seen them over the last decade, they went into areas where they thought the money was, not necessarily. Like, I can't even imagine how you viewed people that wanted to be tech pundits because they were smart enough to realize tech was growing and they thought that's where the action was, but they had no passion or knowledge for it.
You know, you could tell, though, you can sure tell, and that you're absolutely right, and there's a lot of people who cover tech who aren't geeks. I use the word geek to describe a real passionate person in any area, but particularly in technology. Let's take a break. Well, I have so many things I want to ask you, Gary. Things that we don't normally talk about, but I also would want to hear about VaynerMedia, where you're going with that. And the thing that's great about Gary, he pays it forward. This is a guy, I know he seems brash, he's humble. It's because he's from Jersey. He's humble. From Jersey. He's true. Humble. He's genuine. By the way, that goes a long way. And he's knowledgeable, and when he says stuff, people go, yeah, I get it. This is real. Our show today brought to you by Blue Apron. Love the Blue Apron. In fact, you know, along with great wine, there's great food. The Blue Apron comes from the Cordon Bleu cooking school in France. The apprentices wear the Blue Apron. That's how you know they're not the master chefs yet. But Blue Apron's all about cooking amazing meals you maybe never thought you could cook. And getting this confidence that you know food. And it starts with the Blue Apron box, this refrigerated box that comes to your door with everything you need to make 3 amazing meals. And by the way, when I say everything, I mean, they even put a clove of garlic in there. Never more than you need, which is nice because there's no waste. You know, you've got it all right now. And then they come with the recipe card, which has pictures. It makes it very easy. There's even online videos so that you can cook an amazing meal for your loved ones. They have a plan for 2 for date night. They have a plan for families with kid-friendly ingredients. This is Jason Howell. He's about to make a shawarma, lamb shawarma. But I'll tell you, the recipes are phenomenal. For less than $10 a meal, very nutritious, very healthy, lots of fresh ingredients, all from local farms, 500 to 700 calories per portion. Not even the meats aren't frozen. They're all fresh. And you can find something to fit any dietary need. Of course, they'll work with you on that. They've got vegetarian meals. How about roast chicken and potato latkes with Savoy cabbage and apple mustard chutney? Man, you know, if you're trying to impress somebody, you make a meal like this. You light candles, get a good glass of wine, watch Wine Library TV, pick a good glass of wine. This is how you make somebody fall in love with you. This is exactly it. How about roasted sweet potato and caramelized onion pizza with bechamel sauce, fontina cheese, and arugula salad? And the thing is, once you know how to make a bechamel, these are basic techniques that you will use again and again. You will make these recipes again. If you like it, you can make it any time because now you know. You'll also learn about ingredients you may never have heard of. I found a new bok choy. I had a 3-cup Taiwanese chicken dish. It was phenomenal. And I'd never tried this bok choy. Now I buy it all the time. Watermelon radishes. You ever make anything with farro? Now you will, trust me. Purple potatoes. It's Blue Apron. Your first 2 meals are free. Go to blueapron.com/twit and get involved. Get started. Yeah, if you don't like it, no big deal. But I think you ought to try the first 2 meals because they're free. blueapron.com/twit. They kind of do what Gary did for wine. They're doing for great cooking, great cuisine. I am still watching Wine Library TV #1. It's so great. I think you turned on a lot of people to wine I mean, that was a great education because
a lot of young entrepreneurs in tech 2006, 7, 8, which was a lot of fun, as you can imagine.
Yes. Well, look at Kevin Rose. He learned everything he knows. He learned from you, including how to spit. So. So tell me about being a sommelier. How long does it take to get to be a sommelier?
So, you know, for most people in the wine world, that's what they want to do because that's a gateway to better jobs within a restaurant. For me, it was just, I wanted to learn about wine. So I'm tasting 100 wines a week, sometimes even 50 wines a day.
You're not drinking them. We should point out. You're tasting them.
You're going, here, let me just, you know, it's like.
Slosh it around there.
And spit. And so, you know, and I lived in New York and was taping and filming in Jersey, so I had to be very careful because that's a long commute. And, you know, if you spit even 30 wines, you could start getting a little bit of a buzz going. Yeah. So, I mean, it depends on your palate. It's like, how long does it take to become a great golfer? For some people, it takes a year. They were naturally great at golf. For some people, they actually never fully get there, right? So I got lucky. I always joke with my dad that I took my mom's palate, wine came. You know, the first year or two, I knew so much about wine, like in the technical standpoint, in the reading standpoint. But the first year, all wine tasted the same to me. It was red wine, it was white wine. It just tasted like wine, and I was very scared that I was never gonna taste the flavors that later came to me. And then I remember when I was maybe 24, I was at a tasting and I tasted an Amarone, and it literally tasted like a chocolate bar, like flat out. Like everybody who's listening right now and watching, just imagine drinking something, you're like, oh, chocolate milk. Like it was that distinct. And I literally was so excited, Leo, I called my mom and said, it's gonna be okay. Because I was fearful that I would never actually be good enough to taste flavors or provide that kind of value, that I was educated, but I wasn't a practitioner. And so, you know, it took a couple years of tasting a lot and really caring to taste a lot and thinking about it. And then once the core came out of the bottle, flavors started coming naturally to me. And that gave me the confidence to do Wine Library TV.
Did you get the certificates? Where did you?
No. I was running my own business, so
you didn't have time.
I didn't have time, and the truth is, I didn't need it. Right. The reason you get a SOM certificate is to get paid more at restaurants.
You don't need that.
That wasn't what I was looking to do.
Yeah. So you don't get to wear that little tist vac.
No, I'd like to.
We should send them one.
But what was fun was, as my street cred started growing in New York as a great blind taster, and that's a big part of the test, I started hanging out with a lot of them and prepping a lot of them for the big test that you've seen in the movie SOM or things of that nature.
Right.
So that was fun to be a part of that culture.
You talk a lot about your mom and dad. In fact, I think, didn't Sasha appear on some Wine Library?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
People have very fond memories of him. Your parents, man, I'll never forget the story that you told of your mom. You couldn't afford official Jets stuff, so your mom knit a Jets, because even as a kid you were fanatic about the Jets, a Jets sweater for you, and you still have that.
It's my single pride possession of my entire, single pride possession of my life physically is a Jets jersey that my mom knitted for me when I was 6. And yeah, I mean, my dream is to, when I buy the Jets, to put that in the front of the stadium when people walk in. And I think it'll be super inspirational, right? And obviously legacy, and I have my selfish wants and needs, but the thought of not being able to afford a jersey, a replica jersey, to eventually owning the team, that is what America's all about. And so, yeah, I mean, my parents are my best friends, and truly the people I admire the most in the world. And even though I've written several, I'm super proud that I've written a lot of good business books and I've been successful, the author and doing the things you want in there, New York Times, all that kind of stuff. The number one thing that I want to write is called Perfectly Parented, which is a book from the perspective of an entrepreneur kid on how well his parents, both with different skill sets, parented me, and then use that as a framework, because I think a lot of parents out there are, at least I get a lot of emails about this, struggling because they were great students or kind of, type A's, and they've got these creative or entrepreneurial kids, and they don't know exactly how to parent them. A lot of parents wrap their own self-esteem into their kids' grades or sports accomplishments. And so I think it's a timely book, and I've been trying to write it in my head, but the truth is it's so intense and so emotional.
Very personal.
It's so personal, but I want to desperately write it, but I love my parents so much, Leah. It's kind of a crazy feeling. I actually am willing to say this out loud. I now have 2 amazing children, 6 and 3 years old, Xander, Misha. Any parent who's listening or watching knows that feeling. I'm flabbergasted that I love my parents as much as I love my kids, because I know the cliche or textbook or blueprint out there is that not being the case, but the truth is, it's absolutely the case for me.
Here's a picture of you. This is from The Deal, showing off your collection, including that Jets jersey your mom knit for you when you were
one of those.
6 years old.
So I went home, I was like, I'm a Jets fan.
Yeah.
And so,
Now, this was because you were new to the country, right? Tell us. Tell us about
for people that don't know, I was born in Belarus, in the former Soviet Union. We came to America when I was 3. My dad and my mom did the immigrant thing. My mom stayed home. My dad worked every hour. He was eventually a stock boy at a liquor store in New Jersey, eventually became the manager. We moved when he became the manager to Edison, New Jersey. That's where I met kids that played football that were Jet fans. That's how I became a Jet fan. Eric Godfrey, big shout out if you're watching. And that's where I grew up. That's where I learned that's where this Jersey DNA came from, right? When you don't have much, or when you're just coming to this country, you're fighting. You're fighting hard for your way in the world, and you're ambitious, and my parents know the alternative. They knew what the Soviet Union was, and they weren't gonna let this land of opportunity go, because there was no opportunity like that in Russia. And so, yeah, that's how that happened. They, a bunch of kids in the neighborhood had Jets jerseys. I wanted one. There was no way my parents were gonna spend $30 on something like that. That was important money back then, and so my mom made me one.
Oh my God! And it was a way of, for you, an entry into the culture of this new school, and be accepted in this. I'm
completely convinced if I could unwind my brain to understand why I want to buy the New York Jets, it's because it's the thing that represents America for me, which I'm so grateful for. I'm driven by, all this crazy energy. Of course, so much of it is natural DNA, but I'm very aware and believe that a lot of it comes from gratitude. I do think being an immigrant is an advantage. And I think that I have more level of gratitude than a lot of my contemporaries or friends that take for granted a lot of the things that we're gifted with here in the US. I really believe that.
Of late, we've been talking a lot about immigration. We've been talking about refugees. And it's really interesting because so many of the people I talk to have a story of coming to America, of fleeing oppression, of making a life for themselves. It's not unusual. It's really the way this country was built. And it's just so important that we remember that and don't pull up the ladder.
Look, when people get scared, and we've seen this before, this is not just, this is very common. I mean, this happened with Japanese Americans during World War II. This happens. People get scared. Yep. And I have a lot of empathy for the context of where hate or negative things come from. They come from a place of fear. But I agree with you. I mean, this country is built on incredible things, but these are complicated issues, and obviously I have a lot of empathy towards all these conversations because of my own narrative. And look, I was a Soviet kid that was able to immigrate into the United States during the Cold War.
How did that happen? Were your parents Jewish? Was that part of that?
Yes, I'm Jewish. And so there was a deal that Israel and America made with Russia to allow Jews to leave in the late 70s. And you can't imagine how thankful, I think on a daily basis, especially right now with all the things that are going on in the world, if Russia, here's a good one. I don't know if you remember this, Leo, you will, but a lot of youngsters that aren't watching, do you remember somewhere around 1984 when the Soviet Union shot down a commuter plane? And it was like a big thing. Do you remember this? It was a big thing around Asia. I don't have all the details, so I don't want to say the wrong thing. But all I know is that I started getting bullied a little bit in school because I was from Russia. If that was enough of an event, or there was some sort of attack, or Afghanistan, or what happened during the Olympics, there was one world event away from me not being able to leave Russia because they would have closed the walls. I have empathy for that, as you can imagine, more than most. I also have empathy in the other direction. I know that these are complicated times, and this is where communication is what we need the most of. And so being in social, and I think of social media as a slang term for the current state of the internet, being, as someone who spends a lot of time at trying to understand what's happening with communication around human beings in a modern digital mobile world, communication is at the forefront of what we need here now. And that's how you get less scared. By over-communicating, and that's what we need right now.
Yeah. It was KAL 007, the Korean airline flight in 1983. It was shot down by a Russian fighter pilot. I want to talk about social media. You are a master of social media, even though in 2006, I don't know if anybody even knew what that meant, but you knew.
Well, it was called Web 2.0, right?
Yeah,
remember?
You knew what was coming. And I'm curious what how you think about that. You've got an amazing deal for how many books? A huge book deal.
So I signed a 10-book deal with Harper Studios back in 2009 with Crush It. The good news for me was HarperCollins decided to shut down Harper Studios, and Crush It sold enough copies that if you look at Thank You Economy, and I see you pulling it up right now, you'll notice that Thank You Economy and you won't see it here, but Thank You Economy and Jab, 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 Right Hook are different. If you scroll down, I assume Crush It's below that.
Yep.
So Crush It, you'll on the side binding there, I can see it, but nobody can see it through
Right
the picture.
here.
Yeah, that says Harper Studios.
Right.
When you go up,
and now
the other
you're
two say
HarperCollins.
correct.
Yeah.
So I'm out of my book deal. This,
Hallelujah. Are you glad? As somebody who's written a few books, that I saw 10 books, I thought, oh, Gary.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, look,
that's a huge, by the way, you got a lot of money for it, and it's a huge vote of confidence. I mean, these guys know that you're going to have 10 bestsellers, and every one has been a bestseller. But still, that's a burden. I'm glad you're out from under it. Yeah.
I'm a little bit glad too. I have a book coming out in March called Ask Gary V.
Good.
It's the question and answers from the show.
I've
that I'm
been
doing
loving
right now.
that, by the way. And you get these celebrities, including Jets players,
Yes.
asking you questions and business questions, and it's great.
Thank you, brother.
Whose idea was getting the celebrities to ask the questions? Because that's great.
You know,
That's fun.
Obviously, you're living this too. And they're really digital celebrities, right?
Yeah. Well,
they're just my friends. They're my friends who are like, "Hey, I like your show," and I'm like, "Cool, you want to ask a question?" They're like, "Sure." I mean, you know the best stuff always starts when it's a little more serendipitous. Now it's like, "Hey," I mean, the Jets one, of course, I wanted to get all those players, and now all my friends. Now that a lot of people are watching, listening, and I mean, I can't even imagine what you deal with. Now every time somebody's on a book deal or has got something to talk about, I'm getting pinged.
Sure.
But the real great thing for me with the show is I felt that as a public commentator, I was maturing. I'd been around. And honestly, and I'm curious how you think of this, I'm actually gonna ask you a question. I started realizing, look, there's only so much I can talk about, meaning I am who I am, I see the world the way I see it. The world keeps changing and I can deploy my context on it, but I'm struggling to, why would somebody come and see another keynote? Why would somebody, wanna watch or hear what I have to say? Now, you were so good at something I could never be good at, which is interviewing people. I think I've got too big of a mouth. I'm not patient enough. But what I realized was, if I can answer people's questions, they can force me into giving them the content that I'm not giving them that's bubbling up naturally in my own self.
It's a great format. It works really well.
It's helped.
Yeah.
This is a ridiculous, you pulled up the weirdest one I've ever done.
I know, that's why.
It's a little bit of a ridiculous show. I'm even regretting it as we're like doing this right now. We'll try to get through this. Yeah, so I had to get my workout in. I just landed from LA, and I really wanted to do the show today. I was like in a good mood for it. And I was on Wi-Fi, and Demea's like, "You're not gonna fit it in." And I'm like, "Well, just send them to the gym."
Do my workout.
So Mike's here. Mike's an amazing man that's come into my life.
He's your trainer?
He has 15, more than that. He's my health employee, not even coach.
That's good. Oh, you're smart.
He travels. You know what? I have a lot of friends who with their money buy things. I decided to buy health.
Very smart.
I realized that I couldn't do it myself. I'd spent 38 years, let's call it 16 years since I was out of school, not doing the right things health-wise. And I actually figured out something interesting about myself. I realized that I wasn't held accountable in life, in business, and in my personal life. I'm not accountable to myself.
Yeah.
I'm really good when I'm in charge of a big team. I'm really good when it's my wife or my mom. So I needed somebody to be, in working out, I wasn't competing with myself. I wasn't trying to lift more or go faster. I needed somebody to be accountable to. So I weirdly use my trainer, Mike, as the person I can't let down. And it's really worked for me.
It's helpful.
And listen, it's super expensive. It took me a year to be willing to do it because I knew I'd have to talk about it. And I feel like it's a very 1% thing to do to hire somebody like that. And when you come from immigrant land, you kind of make fun of yourself for those kind of things. But the truth is, I've had 2 or 3 friends do it as well since they found out, and it's been game changing for them. And I think over the next decade, you'll start seeing people that can afford it, instead of buying a nice watch or another third home, will start investing in their health more. And next step for me is really, my kids are getting older. I'm starting to try to hack my schedule to spend more time with them day to day during the week. I just came back from Xander's Hanukkah party, whereas those are the things I used to miss because I'd be like, well, that's in the middle of the day. I think all of us, and I'm sure you go through this, and anybody listening, is you just try to get better as a person every day, and I'm hacking.
Yeah. Well, and you never, you know, my kids are grown now, but you never look back and say, "Gee, I'm glad I didn't spend more time with them." Yeah, I'm so glad I worked more. You don't ever say that.
Nobody says that. Nobody says that. Nobody says they're glad they wish they made more money.
No.
Like, you know, I spend a lot of time talking to 70, 80, 90-year-olds, and because I'm fascinated by them, and I mean strangers at airports, and it's pretty clear. But at the same token, and you know this, there's not that many people in our ecosystem that pushes hard work and hustle and workaholic DNA more than I do, mainly because there's a disconnect. And this is the following. There's too many people watching and listening to this that want all the great things that Kevin Rose and you and Mark Zuckerberg, all these people they hear, but don't put in the work that helps you get there. And so to me, look, some of the happiest people I know make the least and have the work-life balance that they want, which is they get home at 5 and 6 and they're on the softball team and they get drinks with their buddies at the bar and they watch college football all day Saturday and they're the coach of their kids' softball team. I think they've won. Mm-hmm. My big thing when I talk about work ethic and hustle and crush it and stop talking bull crap, like if you want it, you got to put in the work. Those are for the people that aren't happy. Those are the people that are complaining and wish they made more money and were more successful. Well, there's a complete correlation to working hard and working smart. Like those are the results. And so I don't have the luxury of complaining that I don't spend enough time with my family because my actions aren't in that place and I can't be a hypocrite. I couldn't complain that I wasn't in the best shape of my life because I wasn't putting in the work. So when, just for the people that maybe don't come across me that often, but will hear a headline of work 7 to 2 in the morning or work hard or all this, please understand that I'm speaking to the people that are complaining. If you are happy with what you've got, regardless of what that is, well, then you've won. To me, there's a naivete in the marketplace that you can be financially successful without putting in extreme hard work and effort. Nobody, well, Gary, you work hard, but I work smart. Leo, you know this. Everybody who's at the top of the ecosystem that we both spend time in, they're doing both.
Yeah, you have to. There's not enough time.
Leo, I don't know what you think. I mean, there's a lot of people that think you're going to write an algorithm or create an app and it's just going to be so easy. I mean, that's just not real.
Well, and also you can't let society tell you what makes you happy. You really have to know.
That's right.
And think about it and not be on automatic, you know. As your kids get older, you start to formulate these ideas because they want to know and you want to tell them. You want to say, here's what I've learned, and you want them not to make the mistakes that you made.
But, and you know this, Leo, because you've been further down, and I do this with my employees and I do this with the people that follow me. I don't, but I also know that they're different. And to me, the reason I've been successful in my friendships and in my family and in running my organization, and the thing that I bank on with me and Lizzie, because my wife's amazing and is brilliant in this
category. A good spouse helps a lot, yes.
There is no me without that.
Yes, I agree. I agree.
Is that we both understand the following, which is it is our job. I believe it is my job as a CEO of this 600-person company to put every player in the best position to succeed. It's not about be like Gary V. It's not like be like me. I hate talking third person. It's not like be like me. It's be the best version of what you are. And if you need guidance from me of like, hey, have you thought about this? Or boy, do I see a lot of HR ability. I mean, I'm about to move somebody from strategy to HR. That doesn't make any sense to this person. I'm dying to see how they take it. But the way they work with everybody here is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Their EQ is off the charts and their strategy is fine, but commoditized. There's 400 people in here that have the ability of thinking that way, but they're special in that. And I think the reason people even know who you and I are and whatever level they know is we were lucky to not only work hard and do all those things, but we found things that we were better at than the other things we could have been doing and better at than the average person is at that.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. Gary V's our guest, GaryVaynerchuck.com if you want to find out all about everything he does.
By the way, Leo, this is an interesting moment. In 12 minutes, the new GaryVaynerchuck.com goes up.
Oh.
Zach on my team has been working his ass off.
We're going to push the button during the show. This is exciting.
Excited.
All
Well,
right.
I don't know if you know how this works. They'll probably push it tomorrow at 5 p.m. So
Oh,
I don't wanna
Lord,
make
do I know how
promises,
that works.
but who knows? Maybe.
We're still trying to launch our new site. Our show today brought to you by Igloo Software, an intranet you'll actually use in a big business. Well, you got 600 employees. The communication is vital. And, of course, most companies solve this by having an intranet, an internal internet site, a cloud portal that lets people share files and collaborate on documents. But picking the best software makes such a difference, and Igloo is so great. Great companies use Igloo, partly because you get everything, the entire suite of tools for one price. So they're not nickel and diming you. And everything is social. It's very modern. They've got comments, like buttons. Anyone can add content. You control permissions. You say who can do what, but anybody can be part of this. And I think that's important. There's some ownership from your entire staff. There's drag and drop widgets, a WYSIWYG editor. No, you don't have to do the design. They've done it for you. Lets you do everything, including blog updates, wikis, coordinate calendars, calendar sharing, manage projects. If you're stuck using SharePoint, or if you're overwhelmed by a plethora of tools and platforms, this is what you're going to like. An intranet that matches your brand's look and feel, simplifies how you work, and of course is accessible on every device. It's not a website. It's everywhere. It's mobile. It's on tablets. It's everything. Complete control with authentication. Look how good that looks. Complete control with authentication. Identity services to ensure that only authorized users have access. Private clouds, SSL, 256-bit encryption. As little as $3 a user a month. There's volume pricing too. Government agencies use it. Can't say their names, but big ones you'd know of. Companies like Hulu, Inventive Health, American Family Insurance, Ipswich. Try it free at igloosoftware.com/twit. And in fact, when I say free, free forever for teams up to 10 people. So this, pick a small team, or if you're a small company just getting started, free forever for up to 10 people at igloosoftware.com/twit. I think once you see what Igloo could do for you, you're going to love it and make it a big part of your enterprise. They'll grow with you. Igloo, IGLOO, software.com/twit. Gary Vaynerchuk is our guest, a guy who's I've known for a decade, who's inspired me for a decade. He's the Energizer Bunny. I don't know where you get all that energy. Do you go home and collapse?
Yes.
Okay, that explains it.
But this may, but I've got to hedge my collapsing, which is I get home at midnight after leaving at 7 a.m. So.
Oh, wow. But you love what you're doing. Does that make it easier to work this hard?
Of course, right?
Yeah.
Like this is it's not even love. It's not even easier. It's literally the oxygen.
Yeah.
I don't, it's my oxygen.
Well, what did you do before 2006? Were you doing shtick in the office? I mean, what?
No, I wasn't. Listen, the funny thing is, and I think you know this, and because, I don't think people realize how quiet I've really been with my brand for the last 5 years. I mean, listen, I'm not doing a lot of interviews. I jump at doing this with you because of the level of respect and appreciation I have.
And you're so busy, and I know that, and I'm very grateful.
So, but it's not about I'm doing this completely because I love the audience that you have, and it's great for me to meet some new people.
They all know you.
And I adore it, and I appreciate what you've done and how you roll. And this is, again, every time I jam with you, I'm like, oh right, this is a professional who knows how to navigate and orchestrate. But I've got the show to kind of get off my creative needs these days. But the truth is, for 2 years there, I was just head down and operating and being the CEO of a company. I love business building. I loved 1998 to 2006 don't forget, Leo, I was 30, 8 years under my belt, built a big company before I even said hello in that video to the world. So I'm stunningly comfortable in not needing the admiration or the attention, though I live on it and I love it. I can go pockets, years if I have to without it. But with social, I don't need to be doing anything structured. No. I can go on Facebook Live, Periscope, Meerkat. I can go speak.
It makes it very easy,
time.
Doesn't it? Yeah.
Very.
Yeah.
Very. So scratching my itch to do what I love, which is interacting with people, now is a piece of cake. I don't need anything hardcore.
It's really changed, actually. Social has really changed everything. And somebody who can navigate social, as you do so well, Just search for G-A-R-Y-V-E-E on every platform. He's there, Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter, everywhere. Somebody who does this so well, it does, you're right, it's a very powerful lever. You don't need to put out a video every day, a vlog every day, because you've got the people following. You're periscoping this right now.
Yeah, I had it on for a little bit. Like, yeah, I mean, it's great. And
you like public speaking now too? You do a lot of that, I know. Very inspirational.
I love it. Man, it's really fun, right? Like I know that I had, I knew that I liked being a class clown. I knew that I loved my employees liking me. I knew that I loved having friends. I didn't realize how much vanity or attention I needed until this all started happening. But my mom loved me too much, Leo. She gave me too much attention and too much love, and I think I'm always trying to scratch that itch.
I need more.
I'll tell you, I can tell you that my admiration for you does come a little bit from, so here's what I think is interesting about you. It's what people say about you when nobody else is listening or watching. I like being out there because I like this weird game of knowing that when you're as hyper and high energy as I am, there's a level of cynicism that comes along with it. And I gotta admit, it's sad. I almost feel like I'm flawed for loving this so much, but I feel like I need to tell you the truth. I like when people are pleasantly surprised that I'm not full of shit.
Yeah.
And I like scaling that. I like that. I almost feel that I get more credit for being a good guy than just a good guy that's just a good guy, because I think when people, look, if the first time you've ever seen me is at South by Southwest at a big keynote where I'm cursing and bravadoing all around stage, I recognize, I'm self-aware enough to know that people might be like, right? And I've enjoyed the process of, I'll give you a good example with you. I don't know when it happened, but and Kevin Rose and I became friendly, and the admiration he has for you. But somewhere in year 2007, 8, 9, 10, 11, my name got brought up, and you talked to somebody who is maybe more reserved, more introverted, not in the game, and they had some story of who I really was, and you took note of that. That you knew that this person wouldn't say something nice about me, or that they had a tough filter of who they thought was good people. And then that part is something I take a lot of pride in, because I think that part speaks to the way that I was parented, and I do really want to live up. I do. I live my life to live up to what my parents did for me.
That's so
and
great.
That part drives me tremendously.
So it's a victory for you when somebody says, that Gary Vee is actually pretty good. He's pretty smart. He's pretty real. You would
Especially when it's somebody who doesn't do that easily, right?
Yeah.
I like that. I do like that. I mean, when somebody just always thinks everybody's cool, you take that for, whatever it is. But when somebody, I just like that. I do a lot of things. The things I'm most proud of, I do quietly. And the things that I do publicly are great, and I love them, and I love inspiring people. Thank God my parents gave me that kind of DNA where, for whatever reason, the way I communicate gets people going. I like building businesses. I adore being a CEO and an HR-driven CEO that cares about culture. But it's the things I do in the shadows of my life, the things when I'm not on camera, that I'm most proud of, because I think they speak to who I really am. Or at least speak to another part of who I am. And I do enjoy when those two worlds collide in a dinner conversation around two people, where that second person who doesn't know me as well gets to leave saying, and then what they do is they take a second look, and it's cool. I just like it. I think it's interesting.
It's 1 minute to noon, so I'm going to take a break so that you can see if the site is up.
Well, by the way, so I don't know how long we've had, but I have to run to another thing.
Okay.
And two, you're gonna like this. Both Steve, who you saw earlier, Steve wrote, LOL, the site is going to be down for 30 minutes during the changeover at 3. And then Zach texted me, just reminding you, do not tweet about your site yet. I'll text you when it's ready. So
all right, we'll have final words. I know you got to go. We'll get one more ad in here, and I just want to give us a little bit, because you have been doing this stealthily. What the hell is VaynerMedia, and why the hell do you need 600 employees? But that's in a minute.
Do the ad. Do your thing.
Our show today brought to you by Epson. I bet you there's Epson printers all over Gary's office. There is around ours, because of course everybody knows Epson. They're the best printers ever, and now Epson's done the thing that I've wanted every printer company to do, and thank goodness it was my favorite printer company. the Ecotank printer. You know what a pain it is. You're in the middle of a print job and the ink cartridges run out. You got to run to the store. That's not going to happen to you anymore with the new Ecotank printers. They have tanks, big 2-year tanks of ink. That's about 50 ink cartridge sets, 11,000 black pages on this ET4550. And when it comes time to get new ink, you don't go out and get a new cartridge. You get economical, convenient bottles, or if you've got the big one, they've got these bags. And that's it. And it's so great. And of course, these are the great Epson Precision Core printers. Look at this one. This is 20,000 pages of ink in the box, the WFR 4640. I love this one. That's for the big office. Precision Core printing means 40 million drops of ink a second. It comes down from their industrial printers. Super crisp, laser quality black text, incredible colors. Yes, they've got photo printers. High speed, two-sided printing automatically if you want it. And I do that a lot to save paper. 30-page auto document feeder that actually works. That's 30 pages on the 4550. You, of course, get even bigger ones on the bigger printers. Easily wireless printing, too, from phones and tablets. It supports all the protocols like Apple's AirPrint and Google Cloud Print. It's fantastic. I can't say enough about these printers. But I want you to find out more at Epson, epson.com/Ecotank. This will transform the way your home office or work group prints. I love my Ecotank. It's the best combination of ease and value. And, boy, they look good. No startup time. Epson, about 3 pages. I get about 3 seconds a page. I mean, and it's done. Quiet, fast, crisp. EPSON, Epson.com/Ecotank. Epson, exceed your vision. We got to let Gary Vaynerchuk go because he's a busy guy, and I'm so grateful you could spend some time with us. But what is VaynerMedia, real quick?
It's a social-first digital agency. What that means is we think too many people are spending money on banner ads and pop-up ads and mobile ads.
I agree with you on that.
It's all about attention. How do you provide value? We think that mobile, social is very important, especially when you try to not disrupt. You know, you've got to find a way to integrate. People's time is too valuable. So we do strategy, paid media placement, and all the creative video and picture production for some of the biggest brands in the world. And we do that as kind of a social digital AOR, the agency of record.
This is what everybody wants now. They realize that you just can't do an ad anymore. You've got to have a conversation with your customers.
This thing that you're showing, GE, these science videos on Vine, they were just little laughs and they brought awareness. And think about GE. They're competing now with Google and Facebook for the best engineers in the world. Yeah. When you then market GE properly on Vine, all of a sudden 14 and 15 and 16-year-olds are considering GE not, you know, their grandfather's engineer place. So I come from a business background. How do we help brands actually sell stuff, actually do what they want, but in a way that isn't annoying or brings zero to no value to the end consumer? That's a very tricky thing.
Yeah.
I've lived that as a content provider for my wine business. We think we're helping clients at scale do that, and so that's our mission.
Even things like handwritten notes.
Yeah, I mean, look, you saw it in the Dove thing. I mean, look, at the end of the day, Leo, and I think I can say this for everybody at home. Leo and I have done 4 or 5 interviews. We've interacted 4 or 5 places through the years. We haven't had the luxury of spending ungodly amounts of time. I would tell you that our relationship, from my point of view, Leo, jump in to add your 2 cents. From my point of view is, I think we both try to provide value to the other person. Those are how the best relationships are built. Brands for 80 years have not been doing that. There is a way to do it. It just takes a different mind shift. Those are the things we're trying to help them understand.
I think it's a brilliant idea, and I know you're going to be a huge success. And good luck. You think you're going to get the Jets?
I do. And the cool part is with the Jets, I'm just happy that I'm acting on the behavior that gives me a chance to do it. And so the climb, the actual journey to buy the Jets is as rewarding as if I pull it off. Yeah. But I'd really like to pull it off.
It almost seems like
if I pull it off, I feel like there'll be a movie. And honestly, Leo, I'd like a movie about my life.
You know, there has to be that happy ending. The day Gary V walks into the stadium with his jersey, says, "I own this team. I love it." You would be a great owner, by the way. You'd be awesome.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you, Gary.
Thank you so much. Have a great holiday, everybody. Take care. Thanks, Leo.
Gary Vaynerchuk, CEO of VaynerMedia. You always come off a conversation with Gary just high as a kite, feeling like anything is possible. Just What great energy. And what I love about it is that current of honesty and truth beneath it. Just as he says, you know, it's not just the energy, it's the genuineness behind it. Thank you for being here, Gary. Thank you for watching the show. We do it live every Monday, about 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern Time, 1900 UTC. Please join us and watch live. The chat room is always great. Helps me a lot with questions and the direction you'd like to go. But if you can't watch live, you can watch on demand at twit.tv/TRI. You can watch, there's so many ways. You can watch it on our Apple TV programs. There's 4 different apps now. Thank you, developers. Our independent developers do such a great job on iOS, on Android, on Windows Phone, on Windows itself, on Roku, everywhere. So please find a platform, iTunes, whatever, subscribe to the show. Listen or watch every week, because I think every week there's something to come away with that just, you know, can change your life. Thanks for being here. We'll see you next time on Triangulation. Bye-bye.